Now that word processor applications like Microsoft Word and Google Docs are becoming more prevalent in teaching and education and available to students, now is the perfect time to start making HyperDOCs a more commonplace practice when organizing our curriculum or developing anything, any type of content for our classroom. HyperDOCs will keep your curriculum more organized, structured, and it'll package everything nice and neatly for you to use, and it'll be more readily available to keep updated, easier to keep updated, and even collaborate with your colleagues. I think it also keeps your curriculum more engaging and relevant over time. So this tutorial is all about responding to some questions I've had about how to get started HyperDOC-ifying your curriculum. We're going to look at three things in this tutorial. We're going to explore the speech-to-text tool in Microsoft 365 and Google Apps. We're going to look at how to insert a hyperlink and make it look good, make it look really good in a document. And then, of course, talk about what are some ways to distribute your work once it's done. First, I'm going to start off by taking a look at a Word doc. I have it opened, of course, in the browser mode. Let's just imagine we're setting up a unit where we want to take an excerpt from a great text and study it together, but you don't want to copy the whole text. You don't want to have a weak, poor quality scan, and you don't want to just send them just a snapshot, just a picture from your phone. You want it to look good because you are a professional educator. That's where the text-to-speech feature comes in, and I think it's a great way to digitize handouts or even, I don't like it all the time, but worksheets when they're necessary. Make digital copies of them when it's legal, of course. I think it's legal to use excerpts from text as long as you quote and use MLA, APA citations. Let's say that I wanted to take an excerpt from Mindy Kaling's great book, Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? And Other Concerns. And I'm going to use just as a model, one of my favorite essays in here, Don't Peak in High School. And I'm going to take one excerpt, and I want to use this one paragraph in class for whatever reason. Maybe I want to do a lesson study on humor, and I want them to study, like, what is humor about this? What type of humor is it? Is it satire? Is it parody? Is it sarcasm? How would we label this as a class if we're going to categorize the writing style and techniques that we see present here? I'm going to open up my document, and you'll notice that we have it right up here in the Home tab. So in the Home tab, you'll find the Dictate button, and you're just going to click it and start talking, and it should start translating what you're saying into text, speech to text. I can still interact with the keys and start a new line while the dictation is still on. Don't Peak in High School by Mindy Kaling. In the genre of making you feel like you're not having an awesome American high school experience, the worst offender is actually a song, John Cougar Mellencamp's Jack and Diane. Period. It's one of those songs, like Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven, that everyone knows all the words without ever having chosen to learn them. Period. I've seen people get incredibly pumped when this song comes on. I once witnessed a couple request it 4 times in a row at Johnny Rockets and belt it while loudly clapping their hands above their heads. So apparently it is an anthem of some people's youth. Period. I think across America, as I type this, there are high school couples who strive to be like Jack and Diane from that song. Period. Now you'll notice it's not perfect because it's not going to pick up a lot of the subtle punctuation marks in the text, so you will have to go back and proofread. Now let's look at Google Docs. Google Docs, under the Tools tab, it just says voice typing. So unlike Microsoft, it says dictation. On Google Docs, it's called voice typing. Click it. Now you have a separate button pop up, a big microphone, and you're just going to click that once and it should work. Don't Peek in High School, an excerpt by Mindy Kaling. Just as before, you can interact with the keys and start a new line, and it will continue to leave the dictation on. As a child of immigrant professionals, I can't help but notice the wasteful frivolity of it all, period. Why are these kids not home doing their homework? ? Why aren't they setting the table for dinner or helping out around the house? ? Who allows their kids to hang out in parking lots? ? Isn't that loitering? ? And you hit the button to turn that off again. This is a great tool to teach your students so they know how to take their written writing and maybe speed up the typing process if they're slow typers. Does it make them lazy? I mean, maybe, but I think it forces them to be better proofreaders, because you do have to go back and proofread for punctuation and some spelling, because it's not 100% perfect. But now I have these two texts that allude to a lot of dated material that kids in present day might not understand. They may never have heard John Cougar Mellencamp's anthem, Jack and Diane. So what do we do about that? This is a good opportunity to HyperDOC it. So a student may not know, like, what is that? Who is John Cougar Mellencamp? My parents never taught me who that is. We're gonna copy that, and now let's go over to YouTube. So trusty. And here we go. John Cougar Mellencamp's. Now I can't play it, of course. I'll get my video taken off. But we'll go into it. Pause. Get the share button. I assume it's a safe music video to share with students. Seems pretty tame. I copy the link to that YouTube video, and you see that I have the text highlighted right here. Now I'm gonna right click on that highlighted part. Be careful, if you don't click properly, you'll lose everything that's highlighted, but you're gonna drag your cursor across it, highlight it, right click, you see this menu pop up, and you're gonna go down to link. You have the option to change how the text is displayed. I'm gonna add that at the end there. And in address, this is where the link is to the document. There we go, to the YouTube. Insert. Now, when students have this document in front of them, when you go up to share and you distribute it out to your students, however you decide to do that, we'll get into that in a second, then they can click on that link and they will go to this music video. Now let's go look at a Google Doc. Google Doc, highlight the text, right click on it, and go down to link. Same setup as Microsoft. You have the option to change how the text appears, and then you have the link. And doesn't that look so much nicer than, say, you could put it just off to the side, like there's the link. But visually, it just doesn't look as nice. You just have this random bits of letters and numbers randomly capitalized or lowercased, and it's just not as pretty. That's what I like about HyperDOCs. I like a document that looks pretty. So that is how you add a hyperlink in a document. Now this is perfect to do if you want to do some guided research. You might do a prompt at the top of your document and then give them 5 links in the document that you want them to use specifically in order to do their research before coming up with an argumentative essay or some sort of summary or some sort of presentation that they have to build based on whatever topic you're having them research. Another great use is when you're building your class syllabi. You can include links to the school website, your personal website, your YouTube page where they can find materials, and of course your contact information, all linked within the syllabi, or you can have the syllabi linked to different units that you might have already in a HyperDOC. That's another cool thing. If you go to, same thing with Microsoft and Google, you can go to the share button, and you see you can make this document into almost like a standalone web page of sorts. We can share it, Here's the link. Copy link. And now you have this link that will link to this document online. So if a student was to, if a student has that link or clicks on that link, if it's embedded in another HyperDOC, it'll pull right up on their computer if you've allowed them the right permissions, like that. They can interact. You can even allow them to edit the document if you want, or close it off, which I would suggest closing it off unless it's a specific assignment where you want them to add on to whatever they're doing here. You can even link other HyperDOCs within a HyperDOC. Is that confusing? It's like that one Leo movie. But you see, like, I can select a word in this Google Doc, link it to that Word doc. How cool is that? So there's lots of little tricks you can do to make this work for you and make it flexible, or it can be as complex or as simple as you want it to be. So what's the best way to share these documents? That's where Bitly comes in. To really take your HyperDOCs to the next level, you got to have a Bitly account. It's completely free. It's what's known as a URL shortener, and it's really great for not only keeping track of who's accessing your HyperDOCs, but making it easier to access your HyperDOCs. Let me show you. So say I want to make this into a handout that students can easily access. It's going to be saved on my Google Drive. Up here at the top, I want to, in the header, this is just how I like to do it. You can, your preferences may vary. In the header, I like to put a bit.ly link to this document. So if you'll notice right now, it's just not shared, but if I can go into that, I'll save the name, and I can create a link to this document. Definitely don't forget to change the restrictions you have on it. Make it a public doc. Done. Make sure I grab that link. Link copied. Done. All right, so I have a link to this document now. It's a public document. I can share it by sending the link out, but that's a long link. Look at this link. It is massive. That's ridiculous and will look gross in an email. I want to make it look pretty. So that's where I go to Bitly, click the create button after you set up an account. That's free. Paste that long, ugly link in there, and it's going to make it pretty. You have this small link. Now here's the next step to really upgrade to really level up your professional game. We're going to make it a personalized link. So we're going to say make sure I spell it right. Kaling excerpt. Something short, something easy to remember. Save it. Copy that. And that's what I will paste up here. There we go. Now I like to tweak it a little bit to make it look really, really appealing, because I'll put this out like as a digital handout. So I'll go into there and I'll just adjust the text, take that part out, and I'll even highlight it and take out the underline so it's easier to read, maybe bold it even. I can tell my students, or if I'm presenting this on, say, like a big whiteboard, or if I'm presenting this in a screencast, I can say, go to this website right here, just type it in. Note that it is case sensitive, so if you use any uppercase letters, you have to put in an uppercase letter, otherwise it won't work. But now students just have to type in this, or copy and paste it, and it will take them to a copy of this document, really this copy of the document, and then they can make a copy for themselves, or even edit the document depending on what restrictions you place on it. Same thing with Microsoft Word. You can insert in the header a bit.ly link in the same sense, edit it as you see fit, and it'll make a very nice handout. So when you go over to File and Download as a PDF, it'll be a very nicely done PDF. Here it is. And even within the PDF, all those hyperlinks are still active. You can click on them. So when you're emailing out a copy of your work, whether it's a lesson plan you're emailing to students, or you're posting on your website, or whether it's like a syllabi you're sending out to parents, you can have it be an interactive, engaging, and very useful, dynamic document. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got some ideas. I have many HyperDOCs that I like to share. You can see in my Bitly history just a running list of different documents that I can easily share with people, and it kind of just it taps into my database. Like here's one of how I'm doing professional development right now. This is the Bitly link to it, and has hyperlinked different PD modules that are pre-recorded with my contact information that is also hyperlinked. Even hyperlinked directly to my social media page, so people can more easily get in contact with me. Hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your students, and take care of each other.